a small town where the rivers run slow, there's a little pet shop that no one goes. With dust on the shelves and a creaky front door, I found my new friend in a cage on the floor. He's a tongue-zapping, dome-eyed, cricket-eating chameleon, with colors that blend like the sunset so serene. I pretend not to see him as he hides in his tree, but he's always watching me. Oh, why can't he just be? Tongue-tied love, oh, we're two souls who exist in this world where we pretend that we don't coexist, with a silent understanding we're happy as can be. Me and my chameleon, oh, how we're meant to be.
The colors changing, shades rearranging like a chameleon. Always engaging, inspiration strikes out of the blue, never knowing what it'll lead me to. Madagascar calling, the unknown beckons, exploring new lands. And time for seconds through microscopes, I see a whole new view. Discovering the unseen, all the things it can do. Chameleon lives, it got me soaring high. I follow the lead, reach for the sky. Building cages, raising mountains with flowers, and my eyes so wide. Reach for the sky. Building cages, raising mountains with flowers, my eyes so wide.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Saturday afternoon, not morning, where we all get to hang out with chameleon people who love chameleons as much as we do, and talk chameleons for an entire hour, this is like the highlight of my week. I get to be around my people. Hello, everybody. Looks like the chat is hopping here. Moto Nick, Roxanne, Mikey Ben, Annette's here, and Nate, Steve. Oh my goodness, we got Howard's here, and Steve. Oh, hello everybody. Okay, let's go ahead. Of course. Oh, we got someone new. Klingon Warbird. Hello, Klingon Warbird. Excellent. Just enjoy a lot of pop culture references here. Let's see. Okay, so the first thing we've always got to do whenever we have we start our shows, we got to check the Brevicorn eggs. So let's go back here into the cave. This is the incubator cave. Okay. There's a check. Not okay. It's not seeing anything happening, but they're not going bad. So that's a good thing. So, all right. So, everybody. Oh, hello, Eric. Any questions to start off with? We actually have a couple of questions from the Instagram. If you guys know, like during the week, I'll hang out on Instagram and do stories. I haven't been doing a whole lot of posting, but I'm on the stories and I have fun with doing the stories. But we have, let's say, okay, wait, Steve says no changes in his eggs. He's got Brevicorn eggs too as well. We are hoping that we both get some hatching and then we can do some matching there. So Genevieve says, speaking of Brevicorns, I put my guy out full time. He seems to be blooming. Excellent. Excellent. Yeah. When you're in Southern California, it's time to get those guys out. We have our, what we call the June gloom. And, but it is nice, humid, overcast. Yeah, there's, the Panthers really would like some sun, but the O'Shaughnessy really like this. So Clinton Warbird is asking, does the L enclosure have custom fogger holes? Oh, okay. So we're talking about, Clinton Warbird is talking about the L, the custom reptile habitats arboreal L back there. And yes, it has one fogger hole in the back right. When you're looking at the cage, the back right. And and so it'll have a fogger input, so you can hook up a standard fogger hose to it. And the idea behind it is that, and we have it in the corner, because with the fogger, what you want is for the fog to envelop the chameleon, not blow on the chameleon. And so we have it in the corner so you can fog down to the bottom so it can just build up from the bottom. And then envelop the chameleon. So that is why I had it placed in the back corner. So any other questions, please let me know. So as you can see, well, we can, let's, you know what, we ought to take a little bit of a look as to how things are going back here. There we go. Oh, by the way, everybody, my alocasia, the sun, the light is just bouncing off of it. My goodness, this leaf is just amazing. Let me see if I can bring it down so you can see it. This grew here in the enclosure. This is an arboreal XL, and I literally broke a perching branch. I just cut it off because it was interfering with the growth of my alocasia. Oh my goodness, I am so in love with this guy. So anyway, and let's see, how is the arboreal L doing back there? I'm really excited because the Nepenthes right here is just taken off. Yikes! There it is. And Nepenthes, of course, the Nepenthes gets a lot of attention up there, but the thing to really watch is the Monstera down here. This is that Swiss cheese plant. It's a small one, but it is going to grow mightily, and so that's going to be awesome. So let's see, we got some questions here. Hello, Eliza Ann. James. You guys need to go back and see the music video at the beginning. You guys figured prominently in it. How many months of the eggs again? Let's see, Matthew. I've got that written down. I think it was like, we're almost coming up on 12 months. I think. Did I have them started in September? I'm not. I'm going to have to go back and take a look. I have to admit that I haven't always been that great with record keeping, and I have to do that because if I'm going to be doing care guides and everything, but you know what? I like not knowing. There are so many things that I like not knowing that I will keep records of it, but I won't look at those records until I have to, because I just love not knowing and getting surprises. But yeah, it's coming up. I remember I did some calculations. It's coming up to where they should hatch soon. Hello. Hello, Eric. Chris, hello. Bill just ordered a House of Hydro for custom fogger. What's a good fan to run? Moto Nick, actually, the House of Hydro has some good fans and I just ordered my fans from House of Hydro. The nice thing about that is those fans are the waterproof fans. The ones you get off of Amazon are not generally waterproof unless you specifically find the waterproof ones. And but it just means that they'll corrode eventually. So just something to consider. But I got mine from a House of Hydro, and they have the nice variable control. My hibiscus are thriving in my tanks finally. Wow, Howard, that is an achievement. For those who haven't tried hibiscus, they are light hogs. Howard, very interested in knowing if you what lighting system you used for the world. Has fogger hole matched the fogger that James has demonstrated? No, Clint. The fogger hole for these cages is for the standard. Let's see. Give me a second here. Yeah, also here. So the fogger input comes standard for this kind of tubing that you can buy. So you would just have to do this as your final input. So use do the Fogfather type at fogger, and then bring your pipe over, and then just have the 1/2 inch PVC going directly into the cage. Now, that said, that is for the dedicated fogger hole. There are a number of openings up there on the top. I think you can see a little bit. Yeah, you can see the top has all these different openings. And so you can very easily, if you see right here, this is an opening. This is a screened opening here. And so you can have any diameter pipe pumping into that. And there's got all these openings all over the place. So you can use whichever size pipe you want. The input that is included is specifically meant for the people who just want to plug and play. And if you're doing a Fogfather fogger, you are going above and beyond the plug and play. So, but you can easily do it. No problem. So is the alocasia for you or the cams? The alocasia is for me. I love my alocasias. Although I've had my cams, they will perch on the alocasia branches or the stems. And that is always a great picture for me. I always love those. Leaf is bigger than your hand. Oh my goodness, the leaf is incredible. And it's making more leaves. And this is, I am having so much fun. These custom reptile habitat enclosures that the Chameleon Academy line, the Arboreal line, I am having so much fun with those because I have these nice solid substrates. And this one, the L, is meant to give you some serious substrate. So this is, when you start off with bioactive and you start planting things and you find out that most of the plants that we use just outgrow our cages and they need root room. Well, for the Arboreal L, we went ahead and gave a whole lot of root room because I wanted just to explore what was possible. And yeah, I'm having a good time with that. Love what we're doing here. My umbrella tree is growing and hindering the rays from the other plants now. Yes, and that is a huge problem in the chameleon cage. You have to have have enough plants that you have a nice foliage for your chameleon to hide in, but the most successful plants, the ones on top, are going to be blocking the light from the ones below. And so, yeah, that is an issue. You very quickly start getting into the idea of how much plants. The way I like to do it is actually only 3 plants in a typical 2x2 by 4 foot tall cage. On one side, I call it the hinge side, I have 2 big plants on those side vertically. And then on the other side, I have 1 plant, and that 1 plant and the top one, they grow together. They make this kind of thick foliage up there. And then the plant that's a little further down still can get enough light because I offset them. But yes, you got to start trimming these things up. Yes. You got to go back and you got to see the beginning, because we actually had a country western song about chameleons. And I think Derpy's got an attitude. Uprooting your hibiscus. That's, you know what, we have we have relegated to that. I am so much of a phone record keeper. Yeah, that's the way I do it. And so when everybody's suddenly asks, so when were they born? It's like, okay, let me scroll back. Hello, Judy. Jungle Dawn. So Howard's got Jungle Dawns. All right. So let's go to, there was a question on the Instagram, and sometimes before I have this show, I ask on Instagram, anybody have any questions? And somebody had a question about proactively medicating our chameleons for parasites. And this is generally called the shotgun approach, where and importers do this a lot, where they get a chameleon in and they don't know what parasites they have. They haven't done a check, and they just give them fenbendazole and metronidazole, Panicure and Flagyl. And the idea is that that's going to hit most of the parasites that they're probably coming in with. And so the question was, what do I think about just giving chameleons medication without knowing which parasites they have? And I will say, on the practical sense, a part of me says, what? Why would you do that? Because, and the reason, okay, let's go over to the pros and cons. First, the cons. The reason why you wouldn't do that, it's because the medicines, the chameleon's body has to process all the medicines. None of these medicines are just like water. They all have to be processed. They all place a stress on the chameleon's body, some more than others. Fenbendazole is a lot less of a stress or a danger than metronidazole, which is less than ivermectin. So they all have a scale. And so you don't, in a perfect world, you don't want to stress the chameleon in giving them a medicine that they don't really need. It's not going to do anything. And something like metronidazole is not very picky in what it destroys. We have a lot of commensals, little things that are hanging, microbes that are hanging out in our bodies. We have symbiotes, like things that are hanging out in our guts that help us digest. These are all microbes that we need. Well, metronidazole goes in and cleans out a whole lot of stuff, whether it's a parasite, a symbiote, or a commensal. And so the hypothesis is that, okay, they're going to have to take some time to recover from that if you clean out their system. So why in the world would we do this? The reason why they do have shotgunning the drugs, which just means you're giving them proactively. The chameleon comes in, squirt, 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 squirt. Everybody gets a squirt, squirt, and you just get really good at judging their weight and figuring out the dosage. So the reason why we do this is because it takes a lot of time to do a fecal. Wait until the chameleon gives you a fecal, then test the fecal, and they say, okay, this is what you have to do. When chameleons come in, they're highly stressed, and so the sooner you can get rid of their parasites, the better. And when you do it on average, it turns out to where it's less stress. The stress of processing the medicine is less than the stress of the parasites, and so it's a good bet. So that's why they do that. Um, Now, for whether you should do it that way or not, the importers, it's a winning bet, and so they should do it. Now, whether they should also add in Panazaril to hit the coccidia, because fenbendazole does the gastrointestinal nematodes, the metronidazole does the flagellated protozoa and the entamoebas, and then Panazaril would do the coccidia, and those are our three big ones. And so, should you throw in the Panazaril as well? You know, up until recently, Panazaril has been very difficult. It's a relatively new drug, and the sulfa drugs that were used to treat coccidia before were very hard on the chameleon's body. That was not a good shotgun bet. So, will the importers now add Panazaril to the list? I don't know. But as for you personally, I envision a future here where we as hobbyists all have a microscope on our desk. They're actually somewhat cheap to get a very, very basic microscope, and that we use fecal checks as part of our normal maintenance. So every month, their chameleon gets fecal check. In my perfect world, the first thing a keeper would get after they get their chameleon set up is a solar meter, and next a microscope. That's Bill's perfect world. And of course, I'm working on educating and people, and by the end, somewhere in June, I'll have that course reopened. I have a course on parasites that I put together, and a number of people went through it, and they're finding all sorts of wonderful stuff. It's been great, and so I'm going to be relaunching it in a couple of weeks. To everybody, and I would encourage you, get a microscope. It is incredibly fascinating, but it is a great way to monitor our chameleon's health, even if you have a captive hatched individual. You'd be surprised at how many parasites are bouncing around even the captive hatched community. So anyway, does anybody have any questions about that particular topic? I'm going to go take a look at the chat. Think about any questions you may have about the proactive giving of parasitic medicines, and and then we had a situation where someone had a vet that was just giving all three of those every year. Just said, all right, you're getting all three of them every year. You're getting the fenbendazole, the metronidazole, and the Panazaril every year as a maintenance, which in a healthy animal, I don't see how that's a problem. But as for a person that likes to be precise in what I do, accurate in what I do, that doesn't sit well with me to just do that every year. I think I would feel a whole lot more comfortable if, say, you do a fecal test. Say you don't have a microscope, then take a good poop into your vet once a year. Maybe that's the compromise here. But all right. Yes, you do. Yes, because you'll see. Can't go wrong with pothos on the bottom. Oh no, Jimmy. The world has not lived until they've seen pothos when it is rooted in the ground, not in a little cup, in a little pot. I mean, pothos rooted in the ground. That is a monster, and it is impressive. Oh my goodness. See, Genevieve said, I bought 2 allocation. It seems as soon as a new leaf shows up, one dies. this being in a pot thing, I haven't noticed that. I will say that I am just a starter alocasia obsessive. I I literally have one of my hybrid cages. It's just got alocasia in it. Doesn't even have a chameleon in it. So I'm I'm obsessed with alocasia, but I am still a beginner with it. So I don't know if that's actually a thing. I haven't noticed it. I may not have paid attention to it, so it doesn't mean it's not happening. Eric, thank you very much for the super sticker. That's appreciated. Bill, you'd probably excel in a veterinary environment. Roxanne, I think I would. I would enjoy it greatly. Thought about it as when I was trying to figure out my career, and I just couldn't get into the idea of doing surgery on animals and stuff like that. But now, gosh, if you could do life over, you know what? Got all sorts of things. Would do life over. Marcia was a took the course. Love my microscope, but not what I'm finding. Yep. Let me tell you, once you get the microscope going, your sense of everything is perfect just goes out the window, and you realize how much is actually going on. But the important thing is, everybody, when you are doing your fecals on your healthy animals, you are catching the parasitic infections before they get bad enough to have external signs. And by that time, your animal is severely stressed, the immune system's been challenged, and you are catching up to the infection instead of getting in front of it. And so that's the real reason why this is an incredible thing to do on your healthy animals. I read that bioactive can create stagnant air. Is this accurate? Bioactive is only indirectly involved with the stagnation of air. The connection is that if you have a totally enclosed environment, then there isn't as much airflow. So the more you enclose an environment, you get less and less airflow. And so that's why we talk about the chimney effect. That's why we're specifically putting in vents at the bottom. The connection between bioactive and enclosed areas is often we want to have a bioactive be a humid environment. And so that means less ventilation. And if you do that wrong, you're going to get stagnant air. And yes, it's easy to do that wrong. You notice, I don't know if you can see on here, right there, you've got this whole line of ventilation, screened ventilation holes. And you can actually see them easier here. I mean, they're small, but they are enough to keep the airflow moving with the top screen. And so it is an important enough situation that you have to specifically put in ventilation and get that chimney effect stuff going on. But bioactive itself does not mean stagnant air. And by the way, there's bioactive desert environments, and so you don't have that trying to hold in humidity. So once again, the connection is we often try to keep humidity in when we're doing the bioactive, so we can have this nice lush plant. And if you don't plan for it, you end up with stagnant air. So that's why in all of my cage designs, the ventilation is one of the most important things. And let me know if I answered that question. If not, please put a follow-up question on that if you like. Potho's roots are huge. Yes, they are. That's what I had this for. I had pothos in mind going, we are going to have some awesome pothos. I mean, you get that golden pothos. I mean, the leaves are big enough that they will, a Parsons can hide under one of those leaves. Yeah. Thank you, Annette. Yes. Oh, I'm having, and it's getting upgraded. The class is getting upgraded. Is that the Chameleon Academy? L. Arboreal behind you. What do you recommend for substrate implant? Yes, Andrew, this here is the Arboreal L. Right there. And what do I recommend for substrate and plants? Substrate, I love the BioDude Terra Firma. That is what I use, and I just fill this thing up. There's a lot here, and so I just fill it up with good soil. And so Terra Firma, that's the what I use, and so you can get them in big bags from the BioDude. And plants, what do I recommend for plants? I recommend the most awesome things you can think of. And that is not, and I'm not saying that as a joke. What we do when you have a system like this, you can let your mind free. And there's so many opportunities. And so I show you between my two arboreals. I mean, this is my office. I absolutely love this. And so in here, I'm growing my alocasias, and it's just incredible seeing those leaves come out. And I've got new leaves coming in. When your plants take hold and just start blooming, it's incredible. I've got my my Nanook Tridescantia. You see those purple pink highlights coming up there. And that's my Epiprenerum. Over here in my Arboreal L, I am growing my Nepenthes. And this is the, not truncata, ventrata. The ventrata. It's a combination. I keep getting the combinations mixed up, and my Nepenthes people slap my hand when I mess it up, which they should. They should. And so I've got neon pothos up there. I've got a philodendron here that's just doing incredible. And I've got a vining philodendron that has kind of that Y-shaped leaf up there. And then my Swiss cheese plant, the Monstera. And when you have the bottoms, I don't know, dare I do this? Too much of a reflection. But and then the bottom has the you can see the bottoms here. Well, the pothos has started to root in the bottom here, so it's taken over. But I'm going to have to move that back because I want you guys to be able to see my dart frog hopping over here. And but then you can just put any sort of interesting plant at the bottom. I have ferns. Boy, the thing is, the possibilities just explode. You can go to the plant store and just say, "What do I love?" And it'll probably do great. And let me know if you have any more questions about it. So let's see. A couple of mine have stems as big as my fingers being planted in the bottoms. Yep, pothos gets huge. People don't know. Pothos is a 50 to 60 foot vine, people. We have bonsai pothos in our cages. How's the humidity levels in your tank with the window wrap on the sides and the front? So Howard, when I do a Reptibreeze and I wrap it with the window film, what I actually measure my humidity by how long it takes the water, the droplets on the leaves to evaporate in the morning. And so I'm getting about an hour's worth of time before the drops evaporate. I know that is an incredibly difficult thing to put into a care guide, but that's how I live my life. And that's how I measure my success of humidity, is if it takes a while, because I want the chameleon to be able to drink off the leaves if it needs to in the morning. And sold in your enclosures. Oh, I love them. I'm having so much fun. I'm having so much fun with them. Stephanie's here. Yay. Also, do you find that you put as much water into your bioactives as non-bioactive chameleon enclosure? So, Liza, and the question, So we have bioactive, naturalistic. So are you saying, do you have more water when it's bioactive, as in with isopods and springtails? Or are you talking about naturalistic versus um, bare bottom? I'm going to answer naturalistic, bioactive versus bare bottom. So these enclosures here, I don't need to put in as much water into these enclosures as I do like a Reptibreeze. The more, I mean, the humid, the lack of ventilation and just the airflow means that the humidity is retained. And so the plants do better, the chameleons do better. I use less water. I also use a lot more fogging in these enclosures than I do in some of the other enclosures where I actually use, I will do misting a lot more. Actually, that's not true. I do both misting and fogging, probably the same. I need to work that out with panther chameleons. With shamrock chameleons, they just like it wet, so they get all misting and all fog all over the place. But you do put in less water with a system like this, just because it doesn't need more water, and you don't want to oversaturate it, so it does save water. Is Nepenthes a carnivorous plant? Yes, it is. It absolutely is. Is that dangerous for a baby chameleon? Yes, it is. Yeah, you want to be when you're putting carnivores in with your chameleons, you want to be smart about it. Do not put a Nepenthes with a large mature pitcher in with baby chameleons. If the chameleon can fit in the pitcher, you do not want to put them together. So, yeah, I mean, it takes a while to grow your pitcher plant to the point where it's big enough to threaten a baby chameleon. But yes, that becomes a problem. So I do not put my pitcher plants in. Let me see. Oh, let me see if I can bring up. Let's see if I can. Let me show you one of the Mirandas that are in my prototype XL, Arboreal XL. Let me give me. Oh yeah. Let me see if I can share this. I want to share. I should be able to. So what I'm about to show you is a cage that I have an adult panther in. I do not have a baby in. It's not a good idea. There we go. There we go. That is Nepenthes. It's a Miranda, and I would never have that in a cage with babies. That you just don't do that. But oh my goodness, it's beautiful. With an adult panther, it's absolutely not a problem at all. Not a problem at all, because there's no way that an adult panther is going to fit into that pitcher. So now, if I mean you get some of those huge pitcher plants, then it becomes an issue. But those huge pitcher plants like the Raja and those kind of things, they don't do well in our typical chameleon environments. There's only about 3 species or varieties of Nepenthes that do well in our chameleon enclosures. And that's because the Nepenthes are generally highland, which means they want it a lot colder than our chameleons want it, or lowland, which means they want it hot and steamy. And so it's too hot for our chameleons. So there's in the middle, there's one species, Alata, and there are 2 varieties, Miranda and Ventrata, which is a hybrid between Alata and Ventricosa. And that's the one you see at Home Depot a lot. But those 3 varieties will do well in our chameleon cages, and they need a lot of light and a lot of water. But then they become impressive cage plants. Okay. What Apple product you use for your desktop, iMac or Mac Studio? What do you mean by that? I do not know what do you mean by Apple product? I use a MacBook Pro, and that is the only Apple product that is used in this particular setup. But Howard, let me know what context you are asking, and I will let you know what, like, software tools, or what are you interested in? You want to say hello?
Yeah.
All right, that's Megan. Everybody, say hello to Megan.
Hi. I'm going to Dungeons and Dragons again.
Wait, she always comes here and says that. That's because she does D&D on Saturdays. I am planning on getting a big cage for my chameleon. My friend keeps suggesting I get another reptile, yet I don't want to stress the chameleon. Are there any animals that can safely cohab or no? Andrew, I would recommend against it. The answer is yes, you can cohab, but there's a huge asterisk at the end of that. Yes, you can, but it gets exponentially complicated, and it is much harder because you have to, each animal has its own sphere of needs, and these enclosures are big enough for one animal's needs to be taken care of exquisitely. Two animals, well, you're starting to get into a little bit of trouble. For this one right here, I'm actually working on having a chameleon, a dart frog, and a Europlatus fantasticus gecko. And those three, I've done extensive research into, and so I'm doing it as a thing for the show and to show how to do it. I really don't like cohabbing things, even though I know enough that I can do it. And we're not talking about cohabbing chameleons. That's off the plate. No, not an expert in chameleons knows not to do it. It's not like you can become an expert and then you can get away with it. No, an expert knows you shouldn't do it. You got to go through that stage of I'm a beginner, and then I'm an intermediate, and I am smart enough that I can cohab chameleons. No, once you get past that stage and you become an expert, you realize, no, just don't do it. You don't do it at all. So it's not something. But other species, I would just say don't do it because of the complication. Now you can have a chameleon and you can have isopods at the bottom. Pick the right isopods and your chameleon may or may not eat them. Springtails. Like when you're talking about a panther chameleon or a veiled chameleon, I mean, they'll eat anything else that is not big enough to maybe try to eat them. So it's just something. Yeah, I would avoid it. My main computer is a laptop. It is a MacBook Pro. I got a lot of D&D people on here. Oh. Will your chameleon eat your dart frog? If it was a panther chameleon, yes. But I will put I was looking at putting in a carpet chameleon, but the carpet chameleon, the reason why it's taken so long is because the carpet chameleon I have has some sort of thing going on with her mouth, and so she is in quarantine, and I am not putting her in this cage. So I may have to reevaluate which chameleon species is going to go in here. But I will have to make sure that it is something that is small and can't even think of eating the frog, because the panther chameleon absolutely will. So that's a no-go. Isopod recommendations. I love dairy cows. And it depends on what chameleon you have and what your purpose is. If you want your isopods there for cleanup crew only, then you want to get some of the Shire species that won't come out during the day and are small enough well, won't come out during the day. Dairy cows, which are the larger and kind of look like the white and black spots, like a dairy cow, yay. My panther figured out that they exist and now hunts them. I don't know if I have any dairy cows left in his cage once he figured out that it was there, but that's okay because that's enrichment. That gives him something to do and keeps his mind fresh. So it depends on what you want. Me, I'll just keep doing dairy cows and probably like the Costa Rican purples or the powder oranges, and I'll just keep refreshing them. I enjoy it when my chameleons hunt them. I recommend against getting rubber duckies and putting them in with your chameleon. My Brachysia chameleon bioactive has been overrun with isopods. You have a way. Oh, good luck. Oh, yes. You can be too successful, can't you? Yeah, that's a problem. I don't know how to get rid of the isopods unless you want to put your Brachysia into another cage and let loose a gecko or something in that cage to clean up a little bit. Would that be the same as putting a Miller's in a Finch aviary? Yes, Genevieve, that would be. It would exactly. Oh. All right. Now, there was another question that was given to me on Instagram, and we will go over that one before the time is up here. And that is this person's Jackson's chameleon has nematodes and coccidia, and asked, how do I treat this? Now, it was a question that came to me on Instagram, and so I didn't get any background. So the first question I would have is, how do you know that they have nematodes and coccidia? What I'm getting at is, did you do the test yourself, the fecal test yourself, and determine this? Or did you have a fecal done by your vet, and those are the results? Regardless, you need to get the medication from your vet, and the vet will probably want to do the fecal themselves and a physical exam. And so I know once we get our microscope, we think we're hot stuff, and we want to tell the vet what the situation is. And the thing is, the vet doesn't know how much we know, and they are, every country, every state has different regulations. Where I am, the vet is responsible for that controlled medicine and how that's used. And so if the vet doesn't know you and you don't have an established relationship with the vet, then the vet's going to want to see the animal, going to want to do the fecal analysis. And this is reasonable because do you know that you caught everything? The vet is professionally trained. Oh, hello. You want to say hello to everybody?
Hi. Yes.
Say hello, everybody. We got to say hello to a vet. Yay. Thank you. Oh. And so the vet is professionally trained. And if the vet is not confident, the vet sends it to a lab, and they are incredible there. They have centrifuges, and they have people that are trained to do this. And wow, I want, my dream is to become as good as the people at those labs. So the thing is, if you misdiagnose, like you say, in this case, coccidia, well, what if it's not coccidia? What if it's Entamoeba invadens, which is a very dangerous amoeba? It gives us, if our equivalent, Entamoeba histolytica, gives us amoebic dysentery. And I will not go into the details of that. You can Google that one. But let's just say that it's a very serious parasite. And if we've got Entamoeba invadens, we want to get rid of it. If we've got coccidia, we want to get rid of it. They both look like cysts, and they are two different medications. So your vet may say, okay, I want to see it myself. I want to make sure that this is the correct diagnosis and the correct identification, because the medicine makes a difference, and you can give as much Panazrol as you want, but it's not going to affect the entamoebas. So, and you may say, well, I'm very good. I've looked at the books. I can actually tell the difference between them. And that may be true. I mean, I'm pretty good at telling the difference, but your vet doesn't know that. And it's your vet who's responsible. So they're going to probably want to test it themselves. Um, and so get the medication from the vet. Make sure they feel comfortable that there's been the correct diagnosis. I mean, with my vet, number one, he knows me. We've been doing this chameleon thing for 30 years now, 25 years now. And so we know each other very well. And I bring in chameleons all the time, poop all the time. He actually told me, Bill, get a microscope. Stop doing this. You got to do it yourself. So he made me do it. But I bring in with my phone and show, it's okay. This is what I saw. They look at the phone and say, oh, okay, we can see exactly what it is. And you're right. Or, yeah, we don't know. I actually didn't know what, there was a bunch of cysts in there. I said, what is this? It's driving me crazy. And so they actually had to send it to the lab to verify which kind of entamoeba it is. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on. And the vet's going to want to be able to look at the animal and say, okay, is there a health issue going on with this animal? Is there evidence that there are nematodes elsewhere in the body? Because maybe it's important. Fenbendazole only gets the nematodes that are in the gastrointestinal tract. If we've got to get nematodes elsewhere, it's got to be ivermectin, which is not a medicine you want to mess with. You want to be very careful with that. So there's a lot of side stuff you gotta take into account. So that's why include your vet, and your vet is going to be very good at assuming a reptile vet, having a background into how the medications affect chameleons. And so your vet can take a look at your chameleon's overall health and say, okay, I don't want to risk it with this particular medication. We'll start with this one. That's what you get with a good vet. And I know they're rare. And so not everybody has that option. Anyway, everybody's got an individual situation. And if it's only you've got no one else, then, and you've got nematodes, and you've got coccidia. Nematodes, you start with fenbendazole. Coccidia, you do Panazrol. And if after all of that, your nematodes do not go away, you may have to go to ivermectin because your nematodes may be elsewhere. Get me talking about parasites and medication. So, yay. Takes the stress away from raising healthy chameleon. Yes, I am glad that you are able to use that information, and it takes stress away from you. Is that amoeba found in Madagascar? Unfortunately, if we're talking about entamoeba invadens, it's just common across reptiles around the world. It is just, yeah, and it's a bad one. If you want to find out what it's like, just look up amoebic dysentery. That, in fact, the parasite that causes amoebic dysentery, the histolytica, is so similar to invadens, our reptile one, that they study invadens in the lab to do experiments on to learn about histolytica, because histolytica won't insist in the lab. They haven't figured out how to make it insist and complete its life cycle, but they can do that with invadens. So this is one very rare case where we actually know more about the reptile version of the parasite than we do the human version. Yvette or Yvette? I'm bringing on Yvette. Oh, yeah.
Someone said me, I'm not on the line.
What is the reason we want Kenyan bloodlines? Andrew, the Kenyan bloodlines are the original bloodlines. And what Andrew's talking about is for Jackson's Chameleons. In the 70s, a maximum of 3 dozen Jackson's Chameleons got out on the Hawaiian mainland and populated it. So you have this serious genetic bottleneck. And we've noticed that population heading towards smaller body, horns going off in different directions, and even a different coloration. And it's not far enough along that you can see them one versus the other and say, okay, yeah, this is a Kenyan, this is a Hawaiian. But when you see a whole group of them, you start seeing patterns. And so we want the Kenyan bloodlines because that's the pure bloodline. And just the Hawaiian bloodlines, they make great pets, no problem there. But if you're going to be doing breeding, go with the original Kenyan bloodlines. It's a healthier bloodline. Actually, I don't know if I can say healthier because the Kenyan bloodlines have been under natural selection. And so, yeah, that's kind of made sure that they don't get like inbreeding depression and stuff like that. Problems with inbreeding because, they've had nature to help them work it out. But the Kenyan bloodlines are going to be healthier. And if you're going to breed, you may as well breed the best bloodlines. But if it's just as a pet, you can get anyone. Kenyan bloodlines make great pets. Yeah, Jackson's Chameleon community on Facebook is that's the best community that you're going to find with the most experienced Jackson's Chameleon keepers. Yeah. I have a carpet chameleon who mated 45 days ago and who has been visibly large over 30 days. She's now lethargic and not laying. Am I worried she may be egg-bound? That's a very good worry. CSR, she is overdue for, she should have, so you're right to worry. It is worth it to go to the vet. Now you need to figure out if there's anything in the husbandry that has to be changed, but the vet may be able to give her some oxytocin, and that may help her get the eggs out. I will say I've actually never had luck with oxytocin. I've used it quite a lot, many times under the vet supervision. The vet would do it or give me directions, but it's not worked for me. But I have since found out that there are reasons why it didn't work. And one of them, the oviduct was actually disconnected. It's like, what the heck? So, yeah, it's worth going into the vet for this one because she's just going to get worse. It's just, what is your favorite part of chameleon keeping? I think it's learning how to do it better and sharing it with the community. I think those are the two things that have kept me going. I mean, I've been doing this for 45 years, something like that, about 45 years. And what has kept me going is how much there is to learn and being able to share it with people. This Chameleon Academy community that you're now part of on this live that you've stepped into is a healthy community. I think you'll see there's a different feel to this community than there is on, say, other social media communities. And that's not an accident. And this makes it exciting to be part of this community, exciting to share. And then we have people who are excited to do the same thing with you. It becomes a comfortable place to be. And so I love chameleons. I love learning how to take care of them better. And I love sharing what I've learned. And so those are my favorite parts. And I keep learning. I mean, you never stop. Never stop learning about the world. Hello, Stacy. Hello. We're a camel. Yes, we are. That's exact. I said it in a lot of words. James, what are your plans for the rest of the holiday weekend, Bill? What chameleon things are you doing? Well, I am working very hard. I have a lot of videos that I have to edit. I am working on cages, and I am going to start on a huge outdoor Parsons enclosure on wheels, of course. That looks suspiciously like the ones you see in James Cross's pictures. That's what I'm going to be doing. What first chameleon should I get? I want to do a veiled because of their big crest, but what was your first chameleon? Andrew, my first chameleon was a Jackson's chameleon, but that's because I did it back in the 1980s. And that is, we didn't have veiled chameleons back then. In fact, we didn't have panther chameleons back then. It was Jackson's chameleons, some Johnson's chameleons, some Mellorai were coming in. And so, but really it was Jackson's chameleons coming in from Kenya that were the species. And so, and of course, what was I, 10, something like that. So it's not like I could, I didn't have the contacts with the importers that could bring in anything. And so Jackson's chameleons were all that was available to me. And veileds are a very good chameleon for a first pet, first chameleon. When somebody asks me this question, I generally say panther chameleons. The reason why I'd say that is because there's so much information and so much support for panther chameleons out there that you can find help around every corner, and it's good help. Veiled chameleons, as common as they are, you don't always get good help with them because not as many people really dive into their husbandry. Now you say, well, a lot of people have veiled chameleons. Yes, and you would think that then you would have a lot of good information out there, but the problem is that veiled chameleons are highly resistant to dying, and they will hold on even under poor husbandry. And so people who are giving poor husbandry think that they're doing good because the veiled chameleon just keeps trucking along. You can't do that with the Jackson's chameleon because if you give poor husbandry, a Jackson's chameleon is just going to die. Veiled chameleon dies over months and months and months. And so, yeah, and so everybody don't measure how successful your chameleon husbandry is based on your veiled chameleon because they are little tanks. But the veiled chameleon is very hardy. And of course, you're here now, Andrew, and you are tapped into. I'm a multi-generational breeder of veiled chameleons, and I've interviewed people that have gone and seen them in the wild, which is really hard because they come from Yemen, which is under civil war, and nobody's been able to go back to the place where the veiled chameleons come from for many, many years now because you're greeted by an AK-47 and told to go away. Literally. Chameleon Academy, just go on to chameleonacademy.com. The profiles, veiled chameleon. I have a video here on YouTube that will talk about how to take care of veiled chameleons. And so you've got the information you need. So you're set there. And if veiled chameleon is the one you want, go for it. You'll do really well with the veiled chameleon. They are great. Welcome, Peaches. Your lucky day to be in this community. Bill and his cohorts are the best. Thank you, Genevieve. Genevieve is one of my cohorts, by the way. Oh, hey. Ran my 3-disc fogger last night, and the results are great. Excellent. Nate's got his the fogger. Bill, I thought you were selling those Parsons. I might be tempted to pick one up if they're around. Yes, what James is talking about is I do have a number of yellow giant Parsons chameleons that I am offering for sale. And I should have talked more about them today. If you are interested in getting involved in yellow giant Parsons chameleons, please email me. Here, there we go. Email me and let me know. I actually have 2 pairs that I have: single female, single male, and 2 pairs that that I can that I'm looking for people who want to work with breeding Parsons chameleons. These are wild caught. They're not actually mine. I'm selling them for a friend that is allowing me to do work with them and study them. But the agreement is that I am going to sell them for him. So these are wild caught. You need to treat them like wild caught, but they are fully adult and they are beautiful. And so, if you are interested in getting involved with Parsons Chameleons as a pet or as a breeding project, email me at bill@chameleon.academy.com and we'll talk. I'll let you know all the details. The pricing is competitive for it is what was it? It was gosh, why did my brain just freeze? It's 1900. Yeah, 1900 for a single and 3600 for a pair. And those are very good prices. So if you're interested, let me know. And might be tempted to pick one up if they're around long enough. Well, you let me know, James. You let me know. Yeah, I'm going to be sending out an email about this. So if you're interested, contact me. Contact me for everybody. And of course, you, James, will make sure you get whatever you need. But if anybody's interested, please contact me. Parsons Chameleons are incredible, but make sure you are set for them. They're not harder than any other chameleon, but they're bigger, and everything they do is bigger, and they need to be bigger. So you don't stuff this one in a small cage. That's not the Parsons Chameleon experience you want. You want the large cage, large Parsons, and you can build it. You can build your cage. You don't have to buy a cage, but just make sure you get a big enough one, because these things are massive. This is a yellow giant, and they get the name, and it's right, and they will like perch on your arm, and you'll know it, because boy, they grab on. So would it fit in an L arboreal enclosure? It would not. These would not be big enough for a Parsons chameleon. At this point, you'd have to go with a dragon strand large hybrid, which you'd have to contact me. I don't officially have them on the website, but they are available. And we're working on a Parsons size enclosure. So that will come soon, relatively soon. But these, the L and XL, are good for panther size and below. Now, I think, yeah, that's what I would be comfortable with that. Jackson's Chameleon versus Carpet Chameleon. Carpet Chameleon. Okay, the differences are that the Jackson's Chameleon is going to be much more, need a larger enclosure, and will need a more exacting conditions. A Carpet Chameleon, they can go to higher temperatures than Jackson's, and they can go into just as low of temperatures as Jackson's Chameleons. And so that's the big thing. Jackson's Chameleons are more sensitive to the higher temperatures. Have you kept Parsons bioactive naturalistic? Yes, I have. If you, I guess how would you? The thing is, I've done a lot of outdoor keeping, which is by definition, well, not by definition, I guess. I've kept them outdoors, and so bioactive naturalistic, and it would be the same indoors as long as it was large enough enclosures. The ones that I've kept indoors, I've kept naturalistic without a soil floor. So they've had a lot of potted plants. And generally what I do is I would have a large outdoor walk-in enclosure that they would stay in as many days of the year as they could, and then I have a 4x2 by 4 foot tall indoor enclosure that I would move them in when the weather got like too hot, inclement weather, and so that's generally what I would do. Okay, everybody, we are coming to the end of the session here. And I want to say thank you very much, everybody. Well, I think James is doing it. James is doing a lot. It just needs to be big. It just needs to be big. And one challenge with Parsons and Bioactive is that it's not a challenge with Bioactive, but with Parsons, you want some pretty large plant life up there. And so you may not get much light down to the bottom. And so you can have a leafy floor with isopods and stuff, but you're not going to be able to grow much in the floor unless it grows high and then and then blocks more sunlight. I know I keep asking questions, but what's the difference in colors of chameleon species? Do some not change color? Andrew, this is exactly what we are here for, is to answer questions. And so you are very welcome to ask the questions. The difference in colors of chameleon species, every species has its own palette of colors. And you have something like bright and flashy like a panther chameleon that has all sorts of weird, wonderful colors. You have something more muted like a Parsons chameleon or a Jackson's chameleon that have more subtle colors. It's like you see them and they're like, oh, okay, it's like an entire color. But when then you look close up, it's like, wow, this is an incredible world. And then you have things like the Brachysia that are just like little brown ones. And even the Brachysia, they have different patterns and stuff flowing through them. So every chameleon has their different variety, different range of colors and patterns. They all have the ability to change color, but they don't have as dramatic color. They don't all have dramatic colors. Yes, the music video came at the beginning. All right, everybody, we will, when I actually say goodbye, I'll play the music video again for everybody who missed it, and we can we play it once more. Definitely check out The Chameleon Enthusiast. Don't forget the. We would love to have, yes, Stephanie, Steve Hefner, James Cross are admins on the Chameleon Enthusiasts Facebook group. And if you're on Facebook, that is the Chameleon group to be on. So, all right. Okay, everybody. I am going to go ahead and play those, say goodbye, and I'm going to play that those music videos again. And so if you'd like to see them again, or if you missed them the first time, just hang tight. And I'm going to go ahead and play them right after I say goodbye. And, well, you know what? Here we go. I can be here. I can be here with you.
In a small town where the rivers run slow, there's a little pet shop that no one goes, with dust on the shelves and a creaky front door. I found my new friend in a cage on the floor. He's a tongue-zapping, dome-eyed, cricket-eating chameleon, with colors that blend like the sunset so serene. I pretend not to see him as he hides in his tree, but he's always watching me. Oh, why can't he just be? Tongue-tied love over two souls who exist in this world where we pretend that we don't coexist, with a silent understanding we're happy as can be. Me and my chameleon, oh how we're meant to be.
a chameleon, always engaging. Inspiration strikes out of the blue, never knowing what it'll lead me to. Madagascar, calling the unknown beckons, exploring new lands. And time for seconds through microscopes, I see a whole new view. Discovering the unseen, all the things it can do. Million lives that got me soaring high. I follow the lead, reach for the skies. Building cages, raising clouds with clouds. My eyes so wide. Reach for the skies. Building cages, raising clouds with clouds. My eyes so wide.
There you go. I tell you, the wonderful thing is I just love celebrating this community and how much fun we are having. And so, everybody, please go have a great weekend. And I will see you next week. And we'll do this. Actually, next weekend is going to be, I do have to announce next weekend, we're not going to have this show. I don't think we're going to have this show. Next weekend is a highly variable. And so watch my Instagram and watch the community. We got to figure out, because I'm actually going grasshopper hunting. And so I don't know where I'm going to be this time on Saturday. And I don't know if I'm going to have internet connection. So we're going to see how it goes. Next weekend is going to be variable. All right, everybody. Have a great weekend. Have a great week. I'll see you next time.